Oh, this is gonna be so great. I so look forward to doing this. Let's do it. Let's go. 3-colored chocolate mousse is not a bad kitsch sort of 80s dessert. 3-colored chocolate mousse is a perfect romantic Valentine's Day dessert because 3-layered chocolate mousse delights all the senses and it combines rich flavors with complementary textures. Okay, I know I'm now showing a bit my age, but regardless of that, what you will learn today are some of the most fundamental techniques that you need to know when you make chocolate mousse. So who am I? My name is Walter Trapp. I used to manage and run some of Europe's best restaurants. Today I run my own cooking school. The chocolate mousse we make today is one that needs to have similar textures. You know, textures that complement each other, textures that go with each other. And there's a lot of different recipes and methods for chocolate mousse out there, and I will show you them next week. But the one we make today is based on a classic French chocolate mousse that is based on a sauce anglaise or a really sort of a runny custard. So first let's make the sauce anglaise. So for that you need to separate some eggs. So you do have all the recipes in the link below, so check that out. I'm just gonna share now how it's all done. But after the video, go to recipes and you can cook it. So next, vanilla. So when you use vanilla, you need to understand that there's more shell in the skin, so in the so-called vanilla shells, than there is in the seeds. The seeds obviously look really pretty. So you scrape them out, yes, you open through that, you also open up the vanilla shell so you can actually release all its flavor. Next in goes the cream and in goes some milk, and then I will bring it to a boil and I want to simmer that for approximately sort of 2 to 3 to 4 minutes just to really get out a lot of that flavor from the vanilla bean. You could literally freeze the vanilla bean down afterwards and you could use it a second time. There's so much flavor in those things, and a bit expensive too. So then next, beat the eggs. So egg yolks into a bowl. If it would be dark chocolate mousse, you would have to add some sugar. You have to do in the recipe below. If it would be milk chocolate or if it would be white chocolate, well, I probably wouldn't worry too much about adding any sugar because those two chocolates are generally much more sweet. So beat it until it's really nice, white and foamy. Remove it. Then vanilla cream, you can see it's sort of simmering along. You're really getting those flavors in nicely. At the end, then I just bring it to a full boil because I want to make sure it's as hot as it is so I can control the custard a little bit better, which I'll show you in a second. Then back milk goes into the egg yolk mixture, beat it together so until it's really nicely incorporated, and then it goes back into the cooking pot, okay? And now I need to cook my custard. So you need to work on a low heat, medium to low. Can you see how runny the custard is at the moment? So that sort of tells me, because it's still, when I do that, it still breaks a lot. It doesn't cover the spoon that well. So that tells me it's undercooked. So I need to cook that a bit thicker, a bit creamier, okay? So if I would do that over water bath, I would look at around 60-80 degrees. But if you don't have that, you just need to have a flat spatula. Make sure you constantly stir it on the bottom and just keep checking it how runny it is. You see it's still pretty runny. I want to push it a bit further. So now I cooked it over another, see how thick that is. It really coats the spoon, and when it runs off the spoon, it's really thick, creamy. So that's the time when you take it off and you need to transfer it straight away back into the bowl, that you stop the cooking, because the last thing you want to do is some, curdled eggs in there, and if you do, just put it through a strainer. So to make my chocolate mousse, you strain out, basically measure out the amount of custard you need. Recipe in the link below. When melting chocolate, you need to know this. Dark chocolate melts the easiest and best, simply because it's only cacao mass and cacao butter. Well, white chocolate and milk chocolate, on the other hand, are much harder to melt because they contain milk solids. And when you overheat milk solids, they harden and the chocolate loses its runny textures and it becomes crumbly and doughy, basically unusable for chocolate mousse. So melt milk and white chocolate is always on a very low heat. So just keep stirring it. I mean, sometimes the custard is hot enough to just melt you that chocolate. If it is not, you can always put it back over a hot water bath and just sort of work it there. Just make sure it's not boiling hot, just a bit of a simmer, so that you just really don't overcook the custard again. And the next thing is obviously dark chocolate melts easier. Milk chocolate melts a bit harder, and there are different types of it. I know, the old ongoing question is what chocolate is and what is couverture. Now, well, for chocolate mousse, you need chocolate. Want to have the rich chocolate flavor. Couverture is a chocolate with a much higher fat content, more cacao butter, like 31 to 38%, which is needed when you temper chocolate, when you glaze with chocolate. Couverture literally means covering up. And it's usually used for filled chocolate, where you have this amazing snap or crunch in the chocolate when you bite into it. But I'll tell you more about that in my video next week, where I teach you every different chocolate mousse I have ever made in my career. So that's next week. Oh, and by the way, check out my online courses in the link below if you want to learn more about cooking. The milk chocolate is now melted, and just make sure you don't overheat it, otherwise it's going to be grainy and unusable. So that's the other way. If I have my custard that is cold, or my sauce anglaise that's cold, I can always add it to the hot chocolate. So it's really up to you which way you want to go. Both ways work just as well. Let's do that now with the white chocolate as well. So again, like the first one, it's pretty hot. I measured out exactly how much I need. This time I need to add some gelatin, because white chocolate has no cacao solids, so it will not set on its own. Okay, chocolate goes in, try to give it a stir, see if it works, if I can just melt it in that way. Otherwise, I just put it over a hot water bath that is not boiling anymore, because white chocolate melts, in my opinion, much better if it's mixed with something else. Next, the all-important for any mousse, with cream, okay? The cream must be really, really cold when you whip it, because the fat during the movement forms fat globules around the incorporated air bubbles. Through that, the cold cream can easily form a network of air bubbles that is trapped by the fat. If your cream is too warm, the air will escape, and as a result, you will have a grainy, unpleasant textured whipped cream with much, much less air, okay? But with this come a few other major issues, because cold cream can set your chocolate immediately when you mix it together and mess up your chocolate mousse literally in the last minute. Or for example, the other problem could be if your cream is over whipped and then you mix it to a chocolate mousse and you work it a little bit further, and suddenly the cream splits or breaks when the water separates itself from the fat, and the fat basically becomes butter. The cream really is the trickiest part in a chocolate mousse. So here are my tips to get the perfect chocolate mousse successful. Keep the chocolate mass a bit warmer, so you avoid the chocolate to set immediately and leaning, sort of becoming, the chocolate mousse becoming a bit grainy or a bit too hard, a bit greasy. However, there is the one trick for all mousse. I mean, I love that. It's under whip your cream. Under whipped cream combines much better with the chocolate mass. Under whipped cream is runnier, it's creamier, and you can work it much harder. When you mix it together, you can really beat the chocolate mousse and the cream together, while at the same time, your chocolate mousse will stay really silken, lush, and creamy. And don't worry about the cream, as it will still keep firming up as you beat it into the chocolate mousse, but don't overdo it, because you still can overwhip the cream in the chocolate mousse and eventually will break and you will get butter lumps. Okay, and then let's fill it into a glass and then straight into the fridge. Let it set before you put the next layer on top of it. And let's finish off the white chocolate mousse, same thing. So who invented chocolate mousse? Well, I tell you that in my other video where I show you every version of dark chocolate mousse, so stay tuned. It's a pretty amazing story. Stir that all together, fill it into a jar. I mean, you could just make individual chocolate mousses if you want to, like I do here. Or you can, of course, put them on top of each other. Again, check the temperature before you add your cream. And if you want to do the 3-layer chocolate mousse like you saw me doing here, you're going to have to make them at separate times. You cannot make them all at the same time because you don't want to lose that runniness and that creaminess. So first start with the dark, then do your milk like you see me doing here, then go off and do your white chocolate mousse. Like I start off with the first layer, dark one, chill it in the fridge, bang it a bit down in case it's not setting perfectly. Then you add the milk chocolate mousse, and then you add the white chocolate mousse, and that's how easy it is. But you're gonna have to work in different stages, if that makes sense. And here we go, look at them. That's them done pretty simple and rough. We can do them much more fancy. So the reason for me doing this sort of a bit of an 80s version dessert is that a friend of mine, he wants me to cook it for his engagement party next week because he loves the 80s. I mean, what a story if you know his story. I mean, you need to know, he's not the smartest guy. I mean, he's not the best looking guy either. He's a real nice guy. Actually, I mean, most people would say he didn't have much luck in life, But then everyone gets their lucky break at some stage, they say, isn't it? Now, you need to listen to this. My friend, he won the jackpot in the lottery. 60 million bucks. I mean, crazy. Can you imagine that? $60 million. But that's not all. No. Luck did not just stop for him right there. No. Guess what? A week later, he met the love of his life. And he was single for over 40 years. I mean, what a coincidence. She's stunning too. No one thought he could pull something off like that. But hey, you know what they say. When it rains, it pours. Good on him and her. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I need to head off now because I need to make this chocolate mousse for next week. Check out my video on coq au vin, which is sort of another French classic, and otherwise, thank you so much for watching.